Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. Don't forget to make yourself a cup of tea with snacks if you want, because today we have very interesting stories, and one of them is a story about a woman who was trying to steal OP's bunnies, but she didn't know what was coming. Please subscribe if you haven't and I hope you'll enjoy it. The backstory first. I was promoted to assistant manager of a premier retailer for one of America's big four cell phone companies. Can you hear me now? With the promotion also came a relocation to one of the higher class parts of the city. Some of you may have read a post about the sushi guy who blocked in a gray GMC Yukon, same city about a block away. Also, some pertinent information is that the store manager had two stores. He spent most of his time in the one an entire county away, leaving me in charge 5 days a week. Some cast: Karen the entitlement queen and Kevin the spoiled brat. Karen and her son had been coming to this location from day one of the opening and had done business with the guy I replaced ever since, so she knows the policies about having someone not named as an authorized user on the account being restricted from doing anything but make a payment. For the first few months everything went on without a hitch. But then came the release of the newest iPhones. We were doing a pre-ordering thing where you could come in and have us take your account info, and at the earliest time possible, 4 a.m., we would have all the management staff come in to work and pre-order through Apple for you. When Kevin came in to pay his parents' bill one day when I was off, one of my employees allowed him to pre-order the most expensive phone. A week or so passes and myself and all of the other managers and assistants are sitting in a conference room going through what seemed like thousands of accounts pre-ordering these phones for customers. I noticed that Karen's name was on the list and thought nothing of it, since she had always seemed to want nothing but the best stuff we had. We were given a directive that as soon as they come in the customer was to be called and an appointment made to get it, pay any down payment they might have, and have the device activated. As I go through the list assigning appointments to the guys who took the order, I get to Karen, the information that her son ordered a phone just shy of $1,500 without her knowledge, went over about as well as the Hindenburg. I never ordered that phone. I have confirmation from my employee that the phone was ordered on your account. I'll be right in and you better have a manager ready to speak to me. I crap you not, it took this lady no more than 2 minutes to come smashing through the door. Where the hell is OP? I have some words for him. I walk out of the back after hearing my name being shouted. Hey Mrs. Karen, what? Karen cuts me off. Who do you think you are? Ordered this phone without my approval? I have the paper that shows that someone knowing your account info ordered the phone on your son's line. Well, it wasn't me, so cancel the order, and while you're at it cancel my account. I'm gonna just switch carriers. I'll gladly cancel the order, but cancellation of the account will require you to either turn your devices in or pay them off plus an early termination fee of $45 per line. Just do your job and cancel the damn account. Okay. She then stormed out of the store before I could ask her if she'd like to keep her turn in her phones. But this was not the last I'd see of the ball of anger that was this lady. A few days later I get a call from one of my employees 2 minutes after we would have opened. He tells me that Karen tried to switch her numbers over to a different carrier, but they said they couldn't take her numbers or her devices because there was no account for the numbers and the devices hadn't been turned in or paid for, so the automated system put them in a temporary state of lost or stolen, and she was now trying to get lawyers involved. I called my district and store managers on a conference call and told them what had been going on. They said that I was to handle it how I see fit. Being the kind gentleman I am, I decided to go in on my day off and speak with her. Holy crap, was that a bad idea? She spouted off all kinds of slur towards me. After about 20 minutes of her laying in on me with everything she had, including taking my job, I decided I had enough of her abuse and politely asked her to leave the store as we had customers in. She refused and continued the abuse. Towards the end she said, and I quote, "Sorry if this offends anyone, but to give context as to what she had been saying, I'll have my lawyer take your job and put your freaking butt out on the street, you half-breed." It took a lot out of me to smack her into next Tuesday after all was said. Eventually all the hot air in her head had been evacuated and she left. Having some friends in the industry all over the city helped make sure that she wouldn't be able to get an actual account with any of the big four carriers in the city. I guess she would be able to hear anyone for a while. She definitely should be blacklisted from every carrier in the country. Such an absurd woman with absurd behavior. Long story short, I used to work as an equestrian teacher for a now defunct camp for a certain secular American organization that helps girls go camping and build confidence. To take this a little further, not only was I not paid for this work, outside of 2-hour self-directed rides, I actually had to pay a few $100s annually for my 10-day training. To save more money, we used entirely donated horses, who often were older and trained as either cow horses or former race horses. This means that they came well trained for riding by adults, but the girls usually need help understanding how to stay safe while riding them. This means helmets, multiple teachers, etc., etc., etc. This often ended with me working 12 to 18-hour days on weekends while working as a janitor and attending a college preparatory high school on scholarship. It was a bit stressful, but I felt much less anxious working with our animals. What was very stressful was that, according to the parents, I, 14 to 19, knew nothing about horses, unlike their angelic children, 4 to 12. It didn't matter if their child had never ridden before or panicked when they realized that I wouldn't be controlling the horse for them. Clearly the child was the knowledgeable one in this situation. In the 5 years I worked there, I had a girl kick me in the head, another pee in the saddle, ammonia is terrible for leather by the way, and multiple septic emergencies caused by EMs pouring grease down the sink with a big "put your grease in the trash" sign next to it. But this episode stands out above the rest. K, EM, M, and boss should be self-explanatory. K is part of a group of relatively well-behaved children. Her group goes through the safety spiel with relatively little difficulty and come out outfitted with helmets, boots, and basic knowledge of how not to die. They're matched up with horses appropriate to their height and confidence level, paired with an instructor to learn grooming and fitting the tack, and brought into our riding area where final fitting will take place. This is where everything goes a bit pear-shaped. While checking the tack, I have to switch sides of the horse for various reasons and ask K how we cross in front of the horse. K immediately ducks under the horse's neck right as the horse is lifting its front feet. I grab K by the hood of her jacket and yank her back to my side, making sure she had no idea how much danger she just put herself in. I showed K the proper way to cross in front of a horse and the lesson went on relatively uneventfully. Or so I thought. I'm getting K-troops boots and helmets off in preparation to send them into non-riding classes, and this woman storms up to me in what is supposed to be a restricted area of the barn. "Did you grab my child?" "Yes, she was. I could sue you." "What if she had gotten hurt? What if her jacket had ripped?" "Well, how could you put your hands on my child?" More ranting. My boss at this point, who couldn't be more than 26 herself, comes out of the office across the hall. "Tell me what happened." "It's okay. I could sue you." "Ma'am, I'll talk to you in a minute, let me consult with my teacher first." I was guiding K to the other side of the horse and she ducked under the horse's neck. So I grabbed her by the scruff of the neck and she acted fine, she wasn't even upset, so I just finished the lesson. I don't need to hear any more. "Ma'am, you cannot sue this nice young woman because she saved your daughter's life. Moreover, do you think that sign at the top of the stairs is a joke? You cannot sue us in state because we are not liable for any injuries to your child during equestrian activities, even if she had gotten hurt. Now go back upstairs and wait for your daughter's lessons to finish." Surprisingly, EM went upstairs. K was perfectly fine and having the time of her life learning about horse breeds. I ended up sweeping the barn to calm down from my frothing panic and thankfully we never heard from this woman again. I also must not have learned my lesson because now I work at a certain space-themed national museum, writing the lesson plans for other hapless volunteers. But the hours are better. Yeet, this jacket was expensive, best let my daughter die instead of allowing the jacket to get damaged. This kid saved my angel's life, I'm suing them. What was going in her head I really can't imagine. So this happened many years ago, around 2005, I was only 10 or 11, so this is going off some fuzzy memories and secondhand info. My family owned a pair of French Lop rabbits, brothers called Shadow and Tigger. My older sister and I adored them till the day they died. My year 5 class had show and tell every Friday morning and I got permission from my mum and my primary school, elementary for Yunnan UK peeps, to take the bunnies in one day. My mum had walked me to school, carrying the bunnies in their travel carrier. As we entered the playground, she handed me the carrier and told me to get my teacher to let me into the classroom early and place them behind her desk. We say our goodbyes, she gives me a kiss, the usual stuff, and she told me she'd be back in an hour to pick up the bunnies after show and tell was over, and she began walking home. There was no reason to think anything would go wrong. It was still a good 5 or 10 minutes until we were allowed in, and I couldn't see my teacher through the windows, and I didn't think to knock, so I just set the carrier down and stood beside it, just waiting. Inevitably, my bunnies caught the attention of many children on the playground, and soon a small crowd was cooing over the bunnies. This one kid, EK, from a couple of year groups below me, comes up to me and asks me to let them out. Obviously, I say no, they're surrounded by unfamiliar people, they'll be scared and try to run away, and catching them would be very difficult. Not to mention that I don't know this kid at all. Year groups didn't mix much at my school, and I don't think he'd been there very long. Anyway, EK doesn't like my answer and tries to let them out himself, but he doesn't know how to open the carrier. I didn't really say anything to him about this, but I did put my foot in front of the door. He gave up and ran off. I thought that was the end of it, but it was just the beginning. A few moments later he comes back with EM in tow. He points at me, and I feel her gaze fall upon me. She turns to EK, smiles and nods, and says something to him. He yells yay. And runs off again, I think to his friends. I don't know if it was my Asperger's or just me being naive, but I thought he simply showed his mum the rabbits and asked her if they could get their own one day, and that she had said yes. I thought that right up until she walked up to the carrier, picked it up and walked away with it. I just stood there for a moment, stunned and unsure of what to do, before I ran after her. When I caught up with her, the following exchange, if you could call it that, went something like this. "Excuse me miss, can I have my bunnies back please? Miss, those are my bunnies, may I please have them back?" Seeing that conversation is going nowhere, I grab the pet carrier and stand fast. "Give back my bunnies, I need to take them to show and tell." EM stops, looks down at me, and then rips the carrier out of my grasp with enough force that I cry out in pain. But I also heard a squeal from the carrier itself. She hurt my bunnies. But what she does next sticks with me to this day. She turns around, grabs my shirt front with her free hand, gets right in my face, and with a scowl, voice and expression combo that could curdle fresh milk, she says to me, "They're not yours anymore." And she shoves me back, falling flat on my butt. I wasn't hurt, but I was shocked, scared, and the enormity of the situation got to me. I started crying, like properly bawling. I thought I had done something wrong, and that I was never going to see Shadow and Tigger again. Everything's a bit of a blur to me from this point, but I remember another parent came up to me and asked what was wrong. I pointed at EM, wailing, "She's taking my bunnies away." I was rescued, fortunately, by my mum. She hadn't actually gone home yet. She told me what happened from her perspective, though not what was said. See, she had run into the parents of one of my friends, FM equals friend's mum and FD equals friend's dad, and struck up a conversation. The first thing she knows, that something is wrong, is when FM gasps. She looks over, sees EM holding our carrier, pushing me to the floor. Instantly she enters angry protective mother bear mode and runs right up to EM, FM and FD in tow. EM tried to run, but a teacher, T, who saw everything stopped her in her tracks. My mum screams at her, demanding to know what the hell she's doing, stealing my bunnies and attacking me. M tried to claim that I was trying to take her rabbits. To which FM calls crap and asks why did she bring her rabbits to the school. The M goes full screaming banshee, spewing crap like my son wants these rabbits and that boy didn't care about them, he wouldn't let them stretch their legs. She started swinging the carrier around violently, screaming that if her son couldn't have them, no one could, trying to smash the carrier against a pillar. Before that happened, Mum and FM grabbed the carrier and pulled it out of her grip. FD, a judo instructor, manages to pin EM, who's still kicking and screaming and spitting. T runs to the office to call the police, whilst EM continues trying to justify her actions. Police obviously want proof of who owns the bunnies. So it was a good thing that among the things I brought with the bunnies were several pictures of the bunnies, including one with me in it. M realizes she screwed up big time and starts crying herself. Mum said it was the most pathetic thing she'd ever seen. The aftermath. EM was put in cuffs and taken to the station. Mum takes rabbits to vet immediately. I stay at school with teachers who calm me down. Mum didn't press charges, but she didn't need to. EM was an addict. A known violent addict. She was high off something at the time and had some medication in her purse. But the real kicker is that she already had rabbits at home, rabbits she wasn't allowed to have, since she had a track record of animal abuse and neglect. Rabbits that were dying because of yet more neglect. Ended up spending a few years in prison for this. My mum doesn't know much beyond this. EK stopped showing up one day. Don't know what happened to him, don't care. Probably went to live with other family. I was shaken, but fine. She didn't injure me, just caused pain. I ended the day much happier, especially when I learned Shadow and Tigger were just a bit bruised, also fine. They didn't seem traumatized at all. They continued to live their little lives like nothing had happened. They died in June 2009, and I miss them a lot, but this is one memory of them that I would rather forget. I hope you can see why. And that's where this enormous tale ends. In all seriousness, I am glad that the bunnies and you are all safe. And that woman got what she deserves, hope she likes life in jail now. Happened before all of the lockdown and social distancing. I stopped for my mandatory 30 minutes break, yay, it's a thing for truck drivers in USA, at an empty rest area. I honestly didn't pay any attention to anyone else and just went on Netflix to watch some anime for those 30 minutes. Mid my watch I get a knock on a door. That's when our entitled kid, EC for short, shows up. That's a cool truck, thinking it's a goddamn Volvo, nothing cool about this garbage. Thanks. It does the job, EC. Can I seat in it? Sorry, but I don't allow strangers in my truck because this is where I live for at least 9 days. I won't do anything bad. Just let me in, and attempts to open a door. My doors are locked so he can't get in, it's a habit. Hey kid. I said no, so go back to your parents and leave me alone. He runs away and I dread another 10 minutes of waiting before I can drive. I get another harder knock on a door. I look over and it's entitled parent. EP for short. She is waving at me to open the window. Rolling window. Can I help you? Occasionally I get served people walking up and asking how far is next gas station. Why won't you let EC get inside the truck? Well. Because this is basically my house and I don't let strangers inside my house. It's okay. He won't do any harm to you or the truck. It doesn't matter if he behaves or not, I don't feel comfortable, and company doesn't allow strangers inside truck. It's actually true, insurance won't cover anyone besides in truck. They don't have to know about my son. Lady, get lost, and I will not let any strangers in my house at all. Oh, don't worry, it is fine. Already pissed off and seeing EC and her other children climbing under my trailer and on the catwalk behind the cab. Get your family and get lost. I gotta drive now. That's great, you can give them a ride until next rest area. Are you serious? Have you not heard what I said? Yes. It will be fine. I release my brakes and tell her again, get your kids away from the truck. I'm leaving to what I hear, besides seeing her husband standing right in front of my hood. No. You will let my kids ride in the truck, I'm done. I'm done with this crap. Roll my window and call the cops and explaining what is going on. Cops arrive as that woman gets behind my trailer. They talk to EP and she gave some crap story about me. Cop told me after I gave my side of the story and they believed me. Cops asked if I wanted to press charges for them restricting my movement and basically kidnapping me. I said no and asked that they would give her a nice talk about preventing others to leave. If I was stupid, she could have pulled kidnapping charge on me. Should have pressed charges, even if it was a hassle for you. It's mind-boggling to me that she would demand you, a total stranger, to give her child a ride. I just don't understand how she is that dumb. I'm mildly distressed for her children. Well guys, that's it for today. If you end up enjoying this video, please consider subscribing, and if you missed the last episode on the channel, I'm gonna link it right here. The story is about a woman with a man who assaults OP cause the swimming pool is closed and then police came. Check this out if you haven't, and I'll see you in my next video.